How do you think this is going to affect him going forward?
Yeah.
I mean, I spoke to Matt Rendell yesterday in the media village, who's obviously, I think he was married to a Colombian, or he certainly is very attached to Colombian cycling and speaks obviously the language. And I said, what's his background? Where's he come from? Was he from a wealthy background, etc., etc.? And he said, no, he's from one of the poorest, poverty-stricken backgrounds. He's interviewed his mother, and he said his mum said she, in her words, Egan had no childhood,
right.
which was tragic, really.
Yeah.
I said, well, what do you mean by that? She said that just he described, obviously with the translation, that the anxiety she had watching him grow up because they just literally had no money and he had no childhood, whether in terms of material items that children have and things, which I thought was amazing, really. And I think that's part of the attachment with his emotion attached to his father at the finish. He's now won the Tour de France, and we're only talking, when she talks about childhood, we're 10 years and before, aren't we? 10 years ago and before.
Yeah.
And 10 years ago, I was at the Tour de France in 2009 with Lance Armstrong and finished 4th. He was 12 in Colombia. I mean, it's and now he's won the Tour de France, and Egan doesn't do this to become rich and famous. He's done it for the sporting sense. You can see that. He's sporting performance through and through. Obviously, there are things that come with that, money, etc., etc. And without being too vacuous and, attaching it to money, but it's some nice payback for his family in the sense if they had,
He'll be able to look after his family.
I don't want to attach it too much to the financial rewards that come with it.
But
first and foremost, they'll just be proud as anything to see their son win the Tour de France.
Yeah, and he'll be treated as a hero, and
he should be,
and it should be.
It's a great country. The amount of Colombians we've met on the route, they will soak it up, won't they?
Yeah, I mean, it means a lot. We see them over the years. I mean, I remember back. Was it 1984 when we saw the amateur Colombia team riding the Tour?
Luis Herrera,
Fabio Parra, all those kind of guys who win
Oliveira
stages.
Rincon, he won in '93. There was a team called Amaya as well after that. And so many over the years. Even obviously Quintana bursting onto the scene. Quintana's brother.
I think you just got to look to the new Tour.
Yeah, it's very rare we have a sprinter in Colombia, isn't it? Really?
Normally climbers, but just touching on Bernal himself again. He doesn't look like any other Colombians. Doesn't look like Chavez. He's not diminutive.
No.
He looks more like he might come from the Netherlands or something. He's kind of his physique.
He's a very good time trialist.
He's a rouleur,
which was a real shock to see him lose so much time in the time trial. Wasn't
he must have just had an off day, because a course like that was designed from his former Colombian TT champion. A couple of years ago, in fact, he's won TTs. I think he won the TT last year in his first ever Tour of Romandy. He beat Roglic, by a couple of seconds. He's an amazing time trialist when he puts his mind to it. Clearly had an off day. So with those attributes, his climbing ability, also the fact he can ride well in the crosswinds. Every single split in this race, when the race, I think it was stage 6 or 7, the first week when we saw the crosswinds, he can do everything, and that's why I think he's going to be here for a long time. And he has
absolutely
had the mindset, I think, Brad, as well. Sorry to cut across you, mate,
it's okay.
To really carry the weight of expectation that his country now holds, and I think he'll be around for a long time.
One thing I have noticed is with the spectators, with the Colombian fans, they're not your average cycling fan. They don't come out every year. They are Colombians that are living here, that know that now because it's such a patriotic nation, seeing the Colombians that are leading this race and have now come out. I mean, we haven't arrived at the Champs-Élysées. We're about 100k outside of Paris, aren't we, at the moment? But I think it's going to be a sea of yellow, blue and red when we get there.
It was there, because remember...
when we first won the Tour, with British flags. So it's phenomenal to see, and it kind of... Even though you're not part of that country, but you can't help but feel proud as a nation for them to see their patriotism.
It's lovely. It really was. And they were. The thing is, although they've got their Colombian favourites, when Valverde and Nibali will walk past the crowd, on the finish line, they were chanting Nibali's name. So they love cycling. They clearly love their own heroes. They respect their own heroes, but they respect all the key players as well, and the riders that ride with panache, with flair, that are exciting.
And he's the first, which is always a special.
Yeah, he is. I mean, and that he's made history, Brad, and it's been a very, very special tour.
Well, last question to wrap up on this. 10 years from now.
Yep.
Yeah. What would that be? 2029?
Yep.
How many tours would Bernal have won?
I'm going to go for 5.
I would say at least 5.
Yep.
I would go so far as to say I'll match Armstrong's 7.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll remember this conversation.
With the maturity he's ridden with.
Grey-haired pundits in 10 years. No, but I would say, at least 5. At least. And stick a Giro and a Vuelta in. I think he's going to win all 3 Grand Tours.
Absolutely.
And somebody posted, just a quick one, somebody quite interesting. Somebody posted on Twitter, and you're a bit of a statistician, you love the sport, you're a historian of the sport. Can you remember if anybody... Actually, the question wasn't right, because it was winning his first tour without winning a stage. Because riders have won their second or third tours without winning a stage.
I think they have, actually, yeah. I'm pretty sure. I don't know, actually.
We'll get back at the next micro podcast on that one, but it's a good question, though. Good question.